Okay. Now, the interesting thing, which we will show more of this later, is there were protests in Taiwan. Remember, Taiwan has freedom of speech, and it shows the very stark contrast between China and Taiwan. Is in Taiwan, you can, if you have a dissenting opinion or a differing opinion, I should say, you are allowed to go out and protest. So you had the vast majority of people welcoming Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan. You had crowds of people cheering as her plane landed. There were crowds of people clapping and cheering as she drove in and to meet her at her hotel. But you also had protests of the Unification Party, which is kind of this fringe party in Taiwan, that's very adamantly wants to rejoin with, I keep saying rejoin, reunify. They were never unified. They were never joined. No. But they basically want Taiwan and China to become part of the same thing.
Now, one thing I have to say is both Chinese media and Western media hyper-focused on the protesters from the Unification Party.
Yes.
I want to throw some stats out real quick.
Go for it.
About 90% of people, Taiwanese citizens, don't support reunification with China.
Yeah, 90%.
So that's the vast majority, right? There's a lot of misinformation going around about that.
Yeah.
That's the truth, right? Yeah. And that the remaining people aren't even necessarily part of the Unification Party.
No.
They're not even... The people that support unification don't even support unification under the CCP, right? It's maybe under a neutral government or something, right? The people in the Unification Party, by the way, 20,000 members out of 24 million people. It's meaningless.
It's a tiny percent. So these are the people that turned up.
But it's run by mainland China, and I have a whole story about that. But we actually got a correspondent on the ground to go to the protest and film it, and actually film the leader of the Unification Party's face. But anyway... During these protests, and we've seen this time and time again, when mainland China, I'm going to call this mainland China.
Sure.
When the CCP puts on protests, they oftentimes do a 差不多 job or a half-assed job.
Half-assed job, yeah.
In what we saw here, just like we see on a lot of protests where they'll just hold up the same misspelled sign, we had this as well. We have Anger Warm OC Pel.
Yes.
And that is trying to say Warmonger Pelosi.
Yes.
But Anger Warm sounds awesome.
Yes.
I think that is the greatest foible and misspelling I've ever heard. And it wasn't just done once, it was on multiple signs, which I captured in the left photo.
We'll see. Like, if you look down next to me here, this purple sign here, can you see that? That also says Ongeworm OC Pel. And so does this one above us here, okay? This is the one that's been making the rounds. You've seen it. But look, there's one over there. And if you look up behind the blue sign, you'll see the blue sign. Behind it, you can see another Ongeworm OC Pel in the background. So they mass-produced a very badly misspelled sign to hand out to their supporters. And you know what this reminds me of is when they paid those Canadian teenagers to stand outside the Huawei Meng trial and hold up random signs that they didn't know.
They told them they'd be in a music video.
Yeah, they were going to be extras in a music video, and they hired them, and they were holding free our Princess Meng or whatever.
Huawei is great.
Huawei. Yeah, so, this is just reeks of that. It's like, here, we're going to pay you some money, hold up this sign.
Yes.
And you don't know what it says, you don't know what it means, but okay, I'll do it.
Now, I think Angerworm either sounds like a Pokemon or a mythical beast. And we actually thought, you guys have been begging us for merch.
Yes.
What better merch to have than Angerworm merch?
We'll set up a competition with a proper prize for whoever can draw the best design.
It might be a dragon. Yeah. It might be a Pokemon type thing. It might be words. The key feature, I think it should be very simple and stark, right? Yes. It shouldn't be like a bunch of crap all over a shirt. It should be very simple design. Or like a very eye-catching design.
Yeah.
So we want you guys to go over to our reddit.com/r/ADVChina. It's our subreddit. We will give a cash prize.
Yeah, we'll put all the details on there. We'll decide what's fair, the going rate for like a design or whatever,
Like a couple $100, right?
Yeah, a couple $100 and something extra. And of course, you'll be immortalized forever.
On the merch.
On the merch and on the channel. So
Angerworm merch coming soon. You guys are going to be part of it.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
No, it's going to be excellent. All right, so let's move on. There were a couple more.
Yeah, I like these ones. American Witch, get out of Taiwan, China, which no Taiwanese person would ever write.
No.
And I love that Taiwanese people, by the way, and do this in air quotes.
Yeah.
With the PRC flag, like the People's Republic of China flag masks on.
I know.
Which Again, unification doesn't mean unification under the CCP. These are basically paid stooges.
Well, look, they could also just be Chinese people that are there doing business
in Taiwan,
or they're on a holiday or whatever the case, or they're there because of family, who knows. But
we found out from the actual video of I figured this would happen, that the Global Times and Chinese government would amplify like how big these protests are, and we got him to film it.
Yeah, they're small.
They're tiny. There's like a dozen people, maybe 20-something people.
Of course, I mean, also look at that sign which says "Get out to ruble."
2 ruble. Well, they're trading in Russian rubles, I see.
Maybe
2 rubles.
So we've got a lot of spelling mistakes.
2 ruble maker. She only made 2 rubles. Poor Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, she made 2 rubles. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, there's another. There's the same sign. Get out 2 ruble maker. Now, guys, again, you know what you have to realize is that when you see scenes like this, notice it's the same people from the previous shot.
Yep.
And biased media will always focus on a small group like this to make it seem like it's huge, but there's probably 20 people doing it, right? Yeah. And these 20 people, suddenly they'll put it around the world. Look at these huge protests. It's nonsense, right?
Well, I mean, like I said, the Unification Party in Taiwan has a self-claimed, by the way, 20,000 members, so it's
probably
much
less. Yeah. So it's fringe nonsense.
Yes.